Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, and thank you for attending today's webcast titled Engineering Roadway Design in Context for Improved Project Outcomes. Today's presenter is Scott Hawker, Solutions Engineer with Hagerman & Company. A few housekeeping items. This presentation is being broadcasted in a listen-only mode. You can ask questions by typing them into the questions section of the GoToWebinar control panel on the side of your screen, and Scott will address your questions at the end of his presentation. At the end of the broadcast, when you exit GoToWebinar, you'll be prompted to fill out a short 3-question survey. We ask that you take a few moments to provide us with your feedback. Also, all attendees will receive a certificate of attendance and a link to the recording of this presentation. Scott, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Bradina. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Scott Hawker, and I'm an AEC Solutions Engineer with Hagerman & Company, and I work with the civil infrastructure products within the Autodesk suite of infrastructure design. And I'd like to welcome you to our presentation today, where we'll be talking about engineering roadway design in context, which not only will we improve our design process, but will also be able to assist in improving our project outcomes. This is going to allow us to be more efficient, hopefully more cost-effective, and able to help us win more work with our stakeholders. During this presentation, I'm going to go ahead and focus on several key aspects of the planning and preliminary design processes used on road and highway projects using InfraWorks 360. So some of these are going to be the ability to quickly create and explore preliminary project designs, such as your roadway geometry, your intersections. We're going to be able to look at optimize our project performance. Are we going to be able to see our changes in context, thereby cutting down on our revisions at the conceptual level? We're going to look at how we can share our results with others. For example, our internal design team, we may have one set of team members working on perhaps the roadway design, another working on another portion of the project. We need to share with our own design team, and as well as folks such as the owner or stakeholder, any municipalities that may be involved, and of course the general public. Okay, so we're going to focus on these areas during the presentation. We're going to follow that up with a summary, and like Bradina said, at the end of the presentation, we'll address any questions that you may have regarding the presentation. Okay. So my goals for today at the end of the session are to give you some exposure to roadway design for the InfraWorks 360 solution. We want to review a subset of its capabilities. For this presentation, I say a subset of its capabilities because of the limited time that we have for today. It would take us much longer to cover everything that InfraWorks 360 is capable of. So instead, we'll focus on some of its primary features and their related business benefits. In other words, how specifically does roadway design in InfraWorks 360 improve our preliminary road design process? Okay, so with that, let's get started. And I'm going to bring over my InfraWorks 360. Okay, this is what the interface looks like. If you have not seen InfraWorks 360, this is what you'll be looking at when you get to that point. What I've got today is the following scenario. What I want to do here is I want to explore some alternatives where we can connect the community here on the west, okay, with the community over here on the east. So the catalyst in looking at these alternatives is to reduce overall traffic congestion. So currently in this area there are minimal river crossings, and as you can see, we've modeled the river here. There are minimal river crossings available, and as a result, during peak traffic hours, the existing bridges to the north and the south cannot handle the existing or proposed traffic flow. So in preparing these alternatives, ideally we'd like to find a route that we can connect the main street here on the west, okay, with our main street here on the east. Okay, so there's a number of different scenarios that we could come up with to accomplish this, but the one I'm going to try initially is to create one alternative from the end of this dead-end street right here. Okay, and what we'll try to do going forward is leverage the existing roadway in this area. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to create a local road, and I'm just going to choose a fairly simple option here, and I'm going to begin to click, okay, and I'm going to be able to start laying out my information. Now, as you can see at this point, I can start to set my design speed. And right now it's set for an odd number of 27.96. Well, what I'd like to do is actually manually input 30 here. Okay. And I could also go ahead and set my length. I'm really not going to do that at this point. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to come ahead and kind of lay this out conceptually, just in context with what I have, and we'll just kind of drop down to this point here. We'll drop over to around this location here because, like I said, we want to leverage any existing roadways that we may have, so we're going to pop it about right there, and we're just simply clicking moving forward. Okay, we're going to go ahead, cross down through this open space area and into the natural grade break here. So we're going to pick a spot somewhere about right there. Okay, and as you can see, as we move forward, based on our design speed, InfraWorks 360 is going to go ahead and put in our proper curves and our radiuses based on that information. All right, so we're just going to continue on that natural grade break. We're going to come to a point somewhere about right in here. We're going to cross that river, and we're going to bring it in, and we'll dead end it somewhere in here. So once we get to that point, we're all set. We should see our roadway. There it is. Okay, and just that quickly, we have created a design alternative. So just take a second, think about where you are right now with your projects, and how long would that process take to lay that out for you guys? Would you be able to create exhibits to convey the design intent or that scenario to other folks for input to see if this is design is something that they would want to move forward with? Okay, so as you think about that, okay, I'm going to go ahead and accomplish this with InfraWorks 360 Pro. Just a side note, InfraWorks 360 is a separate software. It does not come with any of your design suites. What you have with your design suites is a very basic InfraWorks program. The 360 is an additional software that needs to be purchased in order to replicate what's going on here today. Okay. To get things started here, the first thing that you want to take a notice of is that my model is more than just an aerial photograph. Okay, so if I move around a little bit, we can start to see that it also includes some roadway information. Okay, I created this model utilizing Model Builder, okay, which if you are a subscription member, you are able to utilize for InfraWorks 360. What you do is you type in an address or simply a location, a city, and what you're able to do is actually generate a model. So you get the existing terrain. You also get the aerial imagery, and you also get any existing roadways that it can compile. So what we have now is a situation where we can see that there are actually changes. Sorry about that, folks. Where we can see changes in our terrain. So we are literally designing conceptually within context of our existing surroundings, and we can see what's going on. So we're going to be able to see this from an elevation perspective. We might be able to pull in, depending on the area, the model builder will pull in buildings such as maybe in an urban area, warehouses, office buildings, etc., and any other vegetation that may exist, so that when we lay out our roadway again, we can take this information into consideration with our design. Okay? So what I've got here now is the ability to design in context. Okay? And I'm also able, if you notice while I was actually performing the pan and zoom around, that I actually don't have this tied in directly. Well, what we're able to do is actually bring that in, and we can tie that at some point. It actually works better if I'm in the plan view, so I'm going to go home, and we'll zoom in. And as you can see, it will automatically bring it in. Now I've messed up that elevation because of where I was at. But you can see our design card there. We can come through, take a look at anything that might strike us initially. Okay. We might want to go ahead and say in this point, make changes to our curves. This might not be something that I'm wanting to look at. I can move the location. Maybe I need to slide it over just a little bit, so I can go ahead and grip edit. So using these grips, I can make adjustments. Okay, my model will automatically update in real time. So these grips can be moved manually. As you can see, I can stretch out my radius. I can also go ahead and input the radius here. I think I'd rather have something more along the lines of, say, 1,000 feet. I simply click enter, and as you can see, my model is dynamically updated. Everything is adjusted and changed. So as we make these changes, we can see for our entire layout how using our grips allow us to make very quick and simple changes to our design alternative. So at this juncture, not only can we make changes to our horizontal layout, it's important that we be able to work with it vertically as well. So as we come and take a look at our roadway, and I'm going to pan back over here to where we tied in, okay, to our existing road. Okay. Now, in this situation, I've got an issue vertically. I really can't come back and drop down like this into an intersection. So I want to be able, to vertically change and edit this information. Now, I can do that, and I can access my profile view, and it's going to show up, and it's going to be very similar to what we're used to seeing. It's going to show us my existing road. Okay. It's also going to show me my proposed along this area here. So I can make adjustments, and if you'll notice, okay, I'm going to take that roadway situation here, and I'm going to actually move that up just to give you a general idea of what might happen if you were not in a an actual location where you could hit at grade. What the software will do, it is actually intelligent enough to create an overpass if necessary. Okay, so if it's not required, as you saw, it's going to create an at-grade intersection. All right. So what we're going to do at this juncture is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take a look at our vertical and refine anywhere that I think is necessary. So the overpass is not something I need, so I'm just going to come back and place it closer to grade. And we're going to get it down here. Okay, it automatically creates that intersection for me. No problem. Okay, now this isn't a bad situation here. That's a lot better than what we had. But I might want to go ahead and optimize my roadway. Okay, because what the software has done, it's gone ahead and we see in our profile the information that would be indicative of a project with a design speed of 30 miles per hour. Okay, so I've moved my crossing here to at grade, and maybe I want to go ahead, excuse me, and not drain to my intersection. So maybe I want to drain away so I don't wash that out at some point. So what I like to do here, and I'll just come over some situation here, and hold on. We're going to add a PBI. Okay. So now I'm able to drag this as well. Maybe pull it away and cause problems. Okay. And as you can see in the plan view or the model view here, it's automatically changing and adjusting. And I'm going to have to make a change here so that my roadway returns. So now I've got a nice gradual change transition in slope. Okay, I'm draining away from my intersection, so I'm not going to wash that out or cause any issues there. Okay, so we can continue to make adjustments here and use the grip to do so, just as we saw in the model view. So it's very easy for us to experiment with different design scenarios. Now, you might be asking yourself, is there a way that we can do this optimization without doing so manually? And the answer is yes, there is an optimization tool that Autodesk provides to us through InfoWorks 360 in order to optimize our profile. Okay, now that profile optimization excuse me, is right here. Okay, and what that allows us to do is come up with the most cost-effective vertical solution based on our roadway. To do this, we would upload to the cloud, and you would need to use some of your cloud credits, and typically it's going to cost you 100 cloud credits for each 3-mile stretch of roadway. Okay, and in anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, Autodesk will send the results back to you in the form of a report. It will also provide you with an IMX of the completed model. Okay. Now, as I said at the top of the presentation, we are strapped for time, so we don't have the opportunity to actually go ahead and run that and view the results. However, some of the information that is provided in the report are PBI locations. It will provide construction costs. It will provide information on the road assembly that was used to create the optimization. And it will also provide a hauling scheme and cross-section data at key points within our design. Okay, so in our case, what we'll do is we'll move on in the manual form. Okay, and at this point, we'll say that we're fairly okay with our vertical. Change that just a tad bit. Looks like I've got a little dip there. Hopefully that'll fix that, and we'll worry about that at another point. But we'll just say at this point we're satisfied. So now what we'll do is we'll look at our road in the context of how the existing and proposed roadways will intersect both vertically and horizontally. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to twist around, and we're going to zoom in, and we're going to take a look up the hill here from our intersection. Okay, so we can see, excuse me, at this juncture that we've got a large amount of cut as we move up the hill. Okay, and what we can do here is we can also take a look and see where we're filling, and in this case we've got a fill situation going in this direction. Okay, so we'll move this out a little bit more so we can get a general idea. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to go ahead and take a look at some of the grading options that we have. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my design card, and we're going to take a look at roadside grading. And the roadside grading comes up, and you can actually see the information in context. So right now I have it set at a fixed width. Okay, it's 33 feet. Well, I'd like to see a grading limit of 50 feet. I'm simply going to enter that. Okay, and it's going to take it out to a 50-foot distance. Okay, now that might be something that I'm okay with. If I don't want it to match back in at the standard distance of 50 feet in this case, I can adjust the slope to match in faster or quicker at a fixed slope. Now we can do that for both cut and fill situations. Okay, so for this case, I've got it set for 3:1, and if you'll notice, it adjusted much quicker. So maybe for cuts, we'll do 4, and we'll keep fills. Oh, we'll change that too. We'll just so we can see. Okay, and as you can see again, our model dynamically updates based upon the information that we have. So now that we've created our horizontal and our vertical layout, let's take a look and see how they've interacted with the existing conditions. So we'll move on back to our geometry. Okay, and let's go ahead now and let's start taking a look and performing some analysis that is available to us on our roadway and get some ideas regarding safety. Let's close up the profile here so we can get a better idea of what's going on. Okay, and before we make that move into detailed design, now remember this is conceptual at this point, so it would be a good idea to take care of any issues that we may or may not have before we get into our final design. One of these examples would be any information regarding site distances. Okay, so we can go ahead and perform site distance analysis on our roadways. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I swapped around. I want to take a look at going up the hill, at least initially. So I want to perform a site distance analysis. Okay. Now I get a palette that should be similar to all of us that we're used to. Okay, and I've got 2 different options here that I can choose from. I can do a stopping site distance, or I can do a passing site distance. For this case, we're going to do a passing site distance. We're going to be moving forward down the hill on the right-hand side. Okay, and we'll select Analyze. And it's going to go ahead and analyze that for us. Okay, and as you can see, it has put in a color-coded set of areas for us. If we look down on the bottom right-hand corner, you can see that we actually have a legend here to help us out to ascertain what exactly these areas are. Okay, so the light blue areas are the areas where we aren't going to see any type of obstruction, so it's clear. Where we have yellow, or orange or red depending on your monitor there, we have some sort of site failure. And anything that is orange is going to represent an obstruction. So we look good in this general area. And let's just zoom out. And we'll come down the road here. I'll twist that up just a tad bit. And as you can see, we've got an issue here. There's a red spot. So in a passing situation, this is not going to be a good location. Okay. So we can see that that is an area of complete obstruction. Okay. And if you'll also notice, we've got an area here that's darker shade than what we have seen even in our legend. Okay. That represents a potential accident zone. Okay. So what we can do is take a look at and make any adjustments before we get to detailed design and make these changes up front. Okay. And because this is dynamic, we're able to quickly do this and move ahead in the situation. So not only can we do that for our roadway, we can also go ahead and make some changes to our intersection and perform analysis on our intersections as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, we're going to close this, and we're going to zoom into our intersection. Okay, so if I select my intersection, I get my design card for that intersection. Okay, so what I can do is I can take this intersection and I can set a design vehicle for what traffic is going to allow. Okay, passenger cars is what it looks like now. I'm not anticipating any semis, but in this case what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I'm going to select a fixed axle delivery truck. Okay, so with that it's going to automatically update my radiuses accordingly. So I'm going to select that fixed axle truck, and you're going to notice that it automatically increased the radiuses. Okay, and now my intersection is capable of access from an SU-30 fixed axle delivery van. Okay, now I'm going to keep my primary road, which will be the one that ran north and south, is the existing. And what I'd like to do is go ahead and create some turn lanes. Okay, so I'm going to click into this area. I'm going to use my grips again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply drag out to approximately 40 feet. Okay, we can adjust that later. The model is going to automatically update. It's going to add in the excuse me, the widening. It's going to add in my taper. I'm going to do the same thing on the north side here, on the opposite side. Okay. So now I've automatically and dynamically updated, and these are all editable. They can always be changed. They can be grip edited, etc. Okay. See, my length is 40.14 because I used my mouse. If I want to set it at 40, I simply input it manually. It will automatically update. I can also change my taper as well. Okay. So now I have my intersection as I want it. Okay. I can now see what that modeled intersection is going to look like and any potential impacts that it may or may not have on the surrounding landscape. All right. So previously we did a site analysis on our roadway, and like I said, we can also go ahead and perform a similar analysis on our intersection. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and select site analysis. and I'm going to select my design road. And in this case, I want to see the stopping site distance. All right. Oops, excuse me. I actually want my intersection. There we go. So we're going to go forward, and we're going to set the stop control, and I'm going to perform a left turn. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to analyze that. Okay, and let me zoom out just a tad bit here. Okay, so what I can see just that quickly is if I have any issues in the model that would obstruct my left-hand turn from a stopping situation. Okay, now I've got clear lines to my right, excuse me, but I've got some site issues moving left based on my legend here. So I can now go ahead and make any adjustments, pull back my intersection perhaps, things like that. Okay. I'm in a rural situation here, so maybe a stop is not something that I actually want. Maybe I want my traffic to come in and actually perform a yield. Okay, I can also make that change here and go into a yield situation. Okay, I'm going to analyze that. It's going to go ahead and show me that this is probably not something that I want to enter into. I definitely have problems moving this direction. I've definitely got some obstructions moving here, and as you can see, I've got an obstruction with that tree. So as I approach, if I hover over the information, it's going to provide me with exactly what's going on and why. Okay. So again, though, I've found this out at the conceptual level. I'm able to go ahead now and make any changes that I want to do. Okay. So before I get to a detailed design, I've already found out that I've got issues with passing on my hill. I found out that my intersection is going to have some issues with a yield situation. So if I don't want to go ahead and revise the horizontal and vertical layout, I can simply go into a stop situation. Okay. So once again, it's important that we're able to do this very, very early in the conceptual design phase. Okay. So we'll say that we're happy with what we've got. We'll close up site design. Okay. And what I want to do at this juncture is I want to be able to start showing some folks this conceptual design. Okay. So the type of folks that we might want to show this to would be the owner or stakeholder. Municipalities are involved, maybe even a public meeting, okay, where we want to show what we're proposing to alleviate the traffic concerns. So one of the effective ways that we can do this within InfoWorks 360 is to go ahead and create an animation. Now, in order to do that, what I need to do is I need to create a storyboard. Okay. So I'm going to go into Storyboard Creator, and you can see that I already have one created. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and delete this storyboard, and we're going to go ahead and create a new one. I'm going to create it from my design road. The software is automatically going to go ahead. It's going to create my animation, and it's going to show me exactly what it looks like to drive down my proposed design for my roadway. Okay. So if I was going to take this to a planning meeting or show this to a municipality, what I was proposing for my design, anyone looking at this would immediately be able to visualize exactly what our proposed design looked like, how it impacted the adjacent properties, and or other roadways, building structures in the same area. Another, we'd be able to do this much more in an impactful situation than looking at a 2D construction document that was attached to a piece of foam board and placed at the front of the public meeting and or client meeting. Okay. Another advantage here is that we do not have to render it in an environment where we might have to run the rendering all night or spend a day trying to come up with the visuals that would be appropriate for this meeting. Okay. And we'll simply pause this and close. We'll zoom back out. Okay. Now, maybe I'd like to share this with some folks. Like I said, my internal design, my subcontractors, architects, etc. I can easily share this with folks if they have InfoWorks 360. Okay, I can publish that to the cloud. I can give them access to this. They would be able to open up my model, okay, in InfoWorks 360 and access it there. From that point, we would be able to collaborate or sync the models together. We could actually do this in real time, me at my desk and someone else at their desk. Now, that's great, but what if the customer, the client, does not have InfoWorks 360? Well, what I can do is I can post this to the cloud, okay, and they can view this with a simple web browser, their iPad, or whatever the case may be, okay? And to do this, I need to go ahead and create a new scenario. And as you can see, I've got a couple of them that have already been created, okay? And what I have is, you can tell that based on the status, I have this for Algonquin. This is a suburb of Chicago in northeastern Illinois. This has not been published. I do have one called Complete Roadway. I have published that to the cloud, and it is accessible to anyone that I want to send this to. Now, what I want to do here, though, fairly quickly, is add a scenario. Okay, I can come in and I can say, excuse me, I can name it. So maybe at this point we say intersection. Okay, I can add a description. Intersection at Black and Decker. Okay. The proposal to publish is the webinar. I'm in the proper location. Now, what I want to do is I want to define an area of interest. Because this is just the intersection, I could define the entire model, or I can use a polygon or a bounding box. So what I'd like to do at this point is I actually want to use a bounding box. Okay, and it's going to allow me to define a region. Whoops. And click. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. So I've got that created. Okay. Now I can edit it further, or I can push it up to the cloud to share for folks using, like I said, the web browser, their iPad. The iPad has a free app. It's InfoWorks 360. Okay. And to get an idea how that would work, for the sake of time, instead of pushing that out, because obviously we are limited on time, and also sometimes your internet connection can be faster or slower than others, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show one and show you how to send this to others. Okay. In the top right-hand corner of my scenarios palette, I actually have email URL. So what it has done, it's created a link to where I need to be, okay, and I can send this to whomever I want, okay, and in order to see, and in this case, Complete Roadway, this is the one I'm actually going to utilize. Whoops, excuse me, that one will not show up. It has not been published. No, I do not. I want to send this one, okay. There we go. That's better. Okay. Now what I can do is I can email that to anyone who wants to take a look at it, and they can open it from the browser directly. So what I'm going to do is I've actually created a video of this for time purposes. All right. So you'll see that it actually opens up the model in my web browser. And I'm able to go ahead and move around. So I can pan, I can zoom just like I did in InfoWorks 360. I can look at my model in context. Now remember, again, this is in a web browser or your iPad, and this is for someone that does not have 360 available to them. So this is a really nifty tool that they've included. Now, I also have access to that storyboard that I created. So not only can they pan around and look at the model horizontally, I can also show them the storyboard that we talked about where we drove down our newly designed connector road. And as you can see, I did this in the web browser, and it's fairly fast. There are no interruptions, no stops, no starts. Okay, and you can also adjust this to go up the hill, and we'll just do that. And once we crest the hill here, you can see where the road is going to go. But again, someone that does not have InfoWorks 360 is able to take a look at your model in context, provide immediate feedback. I do not. Okay. And get back with you, all at the conceptual level. Okay. So once again, our models are very easy to share. They're very easy for folks to collaborate with, whether it's people on my own design team, municipalities, or the general public at a public meeting. So this is going to improve our ability to share what our overall conceptual design will be. And at any point, we can go ahead, stop that replay like I just did, pan and zoom, and take a look at the model. This is going to come into play winning new work. You're going to go ahead and show the client, a proposed or prospective client, a conceptual design going in ahead of time. This doesn't take that long. Model Builder literally takes about 5 minutes to get your information. We laid out our roadway. We were able to create some simple site analysis, and we were also able to model our intersection. And we did this in about 15 to 20 minutes. I would say less than an hour you would be able to have a storyboard or have a scenario, be able to go to a meeting, drop this in front of a prospective client, and show them exactly what your intent can be, and you can go from there. So much better than having someone sit there, draft it in 2 dimensions, and come up with something to try to drop in front of them. This will impress them beyond belief. Okay, so InfoWorks 360, very powerful tools that are intuitive and easy to use. Okay, and like I said, with that short amount of time, we were able to explore a proposed solution for this project. Okay, we also performed various analysis. We uncovered some issues with our intersection. We also uncovered some issues with our passing there up on the hill. And we were also able to push this out to the cloud for collaboration, and we were also able to push this out to someone so that they could use it and look at it without InfoWorks 360. Okay. So, in summary, what is Autodesk Roadway Design for InfoWorks 360? Well, essentially, it's a software solution is going to help transportation professionals effectively explore their preliminary roadway design options in context. It should optimize your project performance, and you're also able to share those results. So during this webinar, we streamlined the layout of a roadway geometry. And then once that geometry was created, we leveraged the grips or other intuitive tools to update the geometry and see the results in real time. We also discussed utilizing the power of the cloud to optimize our roadway profile being an option. Like I said, it's 100 cloud credits per 3-mile stretch. Okay. So throughout the process, we were able to perform various types of analysis on our intersections as well as our roadway to uncover possible safety issues. Roadway design for 360 is easy to use, it's intuitive, it's extremely powerful, and its features are going to enable you to speed the road design process as well as more quickly evaluate design alternatives so you can provide your clients, stakeholders, municipalities, and the general public with the best designs possible. And with that, I appreciate the time that you spent with us this morning or afternoon, whichever the case may be. I'm going to go ahead, excuse me, and I'm going to turn it over to Bradina if there are any questions, and go through those. So Bradina, were there any questions?
There were not any questions, but we would like to keep the line open for a little bit. So if you have questions, you can go ahead and type them into the questions panel on the side of your screen, and Scott will hang on the line for a few more minutes to address those. As a reminder, when you close your GoToMeeting session, you will be prompted to complete a short 3-question survey, and we ask that you take a few moments to fill that out. And you will be receiving an email containing the link to the recording of the presentation as well as a certificate of attendance. So thanks everyone for attending, and have a great day.